Hello guys, this is ComplexCSS here, and it's time to go over the series that pretty much sparked my competitive interest in gun games and FPSs. That's right, we're going into Halo. So, this clip is actually from the Master Chief Collection, Halo 3, on Team Snipers. And I actually got this off of my Xbox One drive, so that's where you can go to get your clips to your computer and stuff. But anyway, the only problem with that is that you have to add a crosshair onto the screen. That's why my crosshair looks a little bit bigger and maybe a little more blue than it actually does in the game. That's just an approximate. But anyway, so you may be wondering what the point of this clip is and how I managed to survive. And right now it looks like I'm just putting my tail between my legs and running away. Well, I kinda am doing that, but at the moment, I'm not really warmed up in this video. As you can see right there, it was some pretty terrible marksmanship. At least one of those shots might have hit if I wouldn't have moved to the right on the wall. But that's what happens when you're not quite warmed up yet. So anyway, the point of this video isn't really to show off my accuracy, because I gotta be honest with you, it's not one of my best videos for accuracy and speed. About halfway through the video I actually start doing well, but this first half of the video is kind of boring. Yeah, because I wasn't really getting any kills. I was just kind of standing around. At least that's what it looks like, but if you know me, you know what I'm actually doing is scoping out my enemy and trying to see what they're made of. Now at this point in time, I've pretty much determined that my enemy is fairly aggressive. Too damn bad I completely screwed that one up. I almost had a free kill there. But anyway, like I was saying, my enemy is pretty aggressive in this video, and they're rightly so, you know. They're not too far ahead, but they're definitely a little bit better than my team at the moment. So, my obvious tactic here is to, well, my objective, what I want to do at the moment, is get over to their side. And the best way to do that is to suppress them, like I've been doing, and then take the low road. Now on a map like this, it's really open. It can be really hard to get to your enemy's spawn point. It's not the easiest thing, because how do you cross something that's so open, right? Well, luckily, there's not always, but in a lot of maps, there's a low point, and that's the point we just took here. I got a little bit lucky here. I'll admit there were a couple times where I probably should have been dead, like right there, but I got lucky. This is pretty much the point of the video where I actually start getting kills and actually start being accurate. I don't know what the heck was wrong with me in the beginning, but this is where I start turning on my accuracy. So anyway, the advantage to being over here on this side, it's obvious, is that your enemy doesn't really know what to do when you're on their side. But you don't want to stay in any one place too long, as you'll note that I'm going back to the center. And the reason I'm doing that is because of people like this. Right now they have it in their head that they don't see me at their spawn anymore, so I must be crossing back over. But I'm not going to cross back over. I'm actually going to sit right here in the middle, and keep my eye out, stay out of sight, stay in the valleys here, and just keep getting a feel for what my enemy's plan seems to be. You'll notice that I don't really crest hills, ever. That's very important. That's very important in real sniping, in video game sniping, in any kind of form of marksmanship. You don't really, or combat, you don't really want the higher ground when you have a gun. This isn't swords and shields. This is marksmanship, and when you take the higher ground, all it really does is silhouette you. Your enemy sees you a lot easier, and it's not a good thing. So here we have managed to successfully make it into the enemy base, as you can see. And from here, we can basically undermine their spawn. It's a pretty good tactic. The enemy's done it to me many times. I've learned this pretty much just through, you know, having my own ass handed to me in my earlier years of playing Halo. Now you may note that I don't run and gun much. There was a time when I actually did run and gun quite a bit. But those days are over. Let's just say that right now.
Sniper's spree.
It's thanks to my run and gunning days that I actually have a decent accuracy most of the time. But I've just found that it's kind of a boring way to play. It's a lot better when you're actually playing a game tactically, when you're actually making tactical maneuvers, and when you're actually surviving. I find it way more satisfying if I only get 15 kills in a game and I didn't die at all. I find that to be a hell of a lot more satisfying than, say, getting 21, 22, 30 kills and you've got 23 deaths. I mean, I used to be that guy. Back when Halo Reach was big, I used to go... I had a couple games where I got so many kills in snipers because my team was so bad. I just carried the entire team. And it felt great. It was amazing. I had friend requests. I had people asking me to join their clan. I had all kinds of stuff like that. But I don't really want to brag too much. Let's just say it gets boring after a while. This is one of those moments where I got kind of lucky. Because, honestly, I cannot believe that guy did not stick me. You may have wondered why I threw that grenade down there. It wasn't to be a poor sport. I wasn't sure what that guy on the map was going to do. You might have noticed there was a blip on my motion detector. That was to try and keep him from going inside if he tried to make the run. And that's a good tactic too. Something people take for granted all the time is grenades. They know that they can use a grenade to knock a shield out, but they don't think about the other things that grenades can do. Like, for instance, you don't necessarily have to damage your enemy. You can use grenades to suppress your enemy and keep them in a position, or smoke them out of a position. Most of the time when I use grenades, that's actually what I use them for. There you go. That's a little bit of a better example of how accurate I can be. Now, in case you're wondering what that was me grabbing a clip. Later, I decided to grab the entire film because, well, for obvious reasons. So anyway, as you can see, we're still on their spawn now, and that was me making a I can screw it up a little bit. I mistook the drainer for a gravity lift. I was going to throw a gravity lift on the door, and then they have trouble coming into the door. So, you'll notice that most of the time what I do is just kind of randomly move, choose ports and stuff. But at this point in time, when you don't see the enemy, when you know for a fact that they're not anywhere in sight, like this, and your entire team's on the adjacent side of the map, distracting them, you can come up here, to this area, and do something like this. Because at this point, the enemy's pretty agitated with me being inside the base. They're probably going to send a squad after me, and it's basically just time to get out. That's another time when you know as a sniper you need to... that's another thing you need to note when you're being a sniper, is that you don't want to stay in any one place for too long. Obviously, you're overstaying your welcome. Now from up here, this may seem like, oh, what are you doing? It's complexity, you're all silhouetted and stuff. This is totally going against what you were talking about earlier. Well, the thing about being up here is there's a lot of cover up here. There's just enough cover and just enough viewing of the map. Plus, it's on an area that the enemy spawns on, so they don't expect you to be up here. That, well, basically, you can utilize this, and you're pretty safe. As you can see, look at this. I gotta admit, if I was that guy, I'd be throwing a fit right now, because I hate being spawn killed, but sometimes, I rarely ever spawn kill. So at this point in the game, I thought for sure, well, I knew for sure we were gonna win. I was pretty sure anyway. I've seen some stupid things happen though.
Game over.
As you can see, that's a perfection right there. And that's pretty much what you want to do when you're playing this game. You don't want to be too run and gun. I guess that's the point of this series. You want to take your time. You want to stay low on the map. You don't want to silhouette yourself. And you don't want to be in too big of a hurry. I find when I take my time, sure, I don't get a lot of kills, but I definitely get a hell of a lot more in terms of a K&D, and it just means that much more when you actually survive the battle, 'Cause you got to think about it. Those people had a whole entire game of respawning, and they never got me. And granted, luck did play a factor in about 3 or 4 of those engagements. I'll admit that, but you know, nobody's perfect. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to do. That concludes this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, happy shooting.